Everybody, this is Perch. Um, Everything's not fine. It's everything's not fine at all when it comes to comics. But I think that there's different personalities that people have, right? There's my personality. You're listening to whatever nonsense I'm talking about. There's other people, other commenters, other all kinds of people, different personalities. I want to explain a little bit about my personality and kind of how I think about problems. Which, if you've been listening to this channel for any length of time, none of this will probably be a surprise to you, although maybe it will cause you to look at things a little differently from how I view it. And I don't spend a lot of time kind of dwelling on the problem. It's largely an uninteresting conversation for me. If something is broken, talking about the fact that it's broken is to me it's a waste of time. And for a long time, I didn't even want to talk about why it was broken. That was also fairly uninteresting to me. Although as I've gotten older, and especially becoming a parent, you start to realize that trying to understand why something is broken is probably important to the part that I like to focus on, and that's, well, what's the solution going to be? And so in some of these videos, when I talk about topics, I talk about the industry, I talk about the direct market, I talk about DC and comics and 100 other things. I often get to, well, what's the solution going to be, or what factors would need to occur in order to make positive change, get things to where they need to be? What are the factors that would cause success? And a lot of people, they kind of, I think it goes too fast. They miss the middle part. They're like, well, wait a minute. So there's no problems? Why are you so optimistic and positive? And the reality is I'm not. As I've mentioned in other videos, I'm a pretty negative person, all things considered, because I tend to look at things and see the cracks in them really, really early. But rather than just kind of stare at the cracks, I want to get to the, how are we going to solve this? And the reality is the solution to everything is MSG. You put MSG on it, it brings out the flavor, fixes up everything. That is the solution. No, you know what? It dawns on me that if I put a million little Easter eggs into my videos, and you could really kind of track what I'm listening to and watching and paying attention to based on the little things I inject. That, of course, is Uncle Roger. And if you have not looked up Uncle Roger on YouTube, well, that's somebody having much more success than me on YouTube, and is good stuff. I would love to see. I could never do a parody of an Uncle Roger type review of a comic because it would be just incredibly racist for me to do so. But I would love it if somebody could or did, or that would be hilarious for me. Anyway, where the direct market is concerned, like we've been talking about, it's broken. The direct and part of the reason why it's broken is that people are kind of clinging on to their view of the idealized direct market. And the idealized direct market is what it was like back in the 80s. The really screwed up part in all this, by the way, is that the world of the direct market in the 80s and 90s was not that great. It's always kind of funny to me when I hear people talking about how the 90s were so amazingly great for the comics business, and if you lived through that comics business, if you try and sold comics during that period, it was not great. Like, it was definitely not great. There were lots and lots of problems, but we tend to, as human beings, we tend to forget the bad things and just remember the good things over time. I don't know why. It's kind of human nature that the bad things just, or the boring parts, those things just kind of wash away, and we just remember the great parts. It's like you may have a bad year, and then like 3 or 4 years later, you're looking back, you're like, man, I wish I could go back in time to that year. Like the amount of people who say they wish they could go back to high school. Are you out of your mind? High school sucked. Like, it was terrible. You've forgotten all the mind-numbing boredom, complete lack of control you had over your own schedule, the crazy, nonsensical people you had to put up with. There's lots of, high school is awful. Nobody in their right mind wants to go back to high school. But when you get older, suddenly that stuff tends to be romanticized. The direct market has a lot of problems. It is a broken market. It's broken because of all the problems with retail, which I really can't understate enough, because it's the part that everybody skates over. There's two things I noticed, by the way, in a lot of people's commentary. And over the last week, I've been listening to more people's videos, so I could, pick up tips and steal those ideas from. No, wait a minute, wait, hang on. I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. No, I'm just curious. People point me like, hey, you should be listening to this guy or this woman. Who's a Dan Pham? I'm not sure exactly if that's the way you say that name, but that is a great channel. I like her style. She does fun stuff. Very very appreciative. That work. It moves on at a nice quick pace. Big fan of her. Anyway, there's two things that people bring up. First, that we need to get back to the newsstand. And like I've talked about a million times before, and I've never really heard a credible argument for this. How do you get back the newsstand? Where is the newsstand these days? I once had a debate on one of the streams I was on. I forget who was arguing with me, and I was saying, there really isn't a newsstand. And the person was like, no, the gas station. There's comics sold in the gas station. You can sell them there. I'm like, but nobody goes into the gas station. Like nobody. I don't know where these places exist. Where is this newsstand? I've done the videos like we should have digests up in the supermarkets. I think that's true. But the idea of the newsstand of the 80s and 90s existing today is not a thing. So that's problem number one. The newsstand's not coming back. Not that way. And number two, it's that the direct market, it's got fundamental problems. And those fundamental problems are what I would call platform problems. And a platform problem means that regardless of the details, regardless of the product or what's going on there or what's being surfaced, there are core issues that have to be addressed. So, for example, in this case, the direct market, retail brick and mortar, as I talked about yesterday, has major problems. And so even if the comics were amazing, like let's say that Todd McFarlane's like, you know what, screw it, I've gained the ability, I can definitely shoot out a monthly comic, no problem, and I'm coming back to Spider-Man, and Jim Lee's like, sign me up for X-Men, I'm there, and Rob Liefeld's doing some kind of foot fetish comic. No, I'm just kidding. Like, he's doing X-Force, and everybody like it's the idealized teams. Everybody is perfect. Both companies, Marvel, DC, they've got like the perfect people. George Perez emerges and is like, he's doing Teen Titans and I don't know, whatever it happened to be. The problem is the platform issues with the direct market, the fact that retail is suffering, the fact that it's become hard to get new people into the shop, all the rest. It would still be a core problem. Yes, absolutely. If you got all those people back doing comics, the numbers would double. I think flat out double. But then they would hit a wall because the available market problem is not getting addressed. And that is kind of inherent in just the overall problems that retail have. Comic shops would be still facing a pretty grim future in the direct market, even if everything was perfect where the content was concerned. So when people talk about, well, the publishers need to put out better content to save the direct market, it's like, well, publishers should put out better content, yes. Saving the direct market, it has less of an impact than you think. By the way, people always hate those answers. When I say things like that, people always go, well, wait a minute. So you're saying nobody should put out better content? No, I'm just saying the two aren't connected. They're not as connected as you believe. Maybe, yes, there's a connection. If you had Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man book would sell really, really well. Wouldn't be enough to kind of turn everything around. Does that mean you shouldn't try and do that? Hell, if you're Marvel and you can get Todd to do a Spider-Man book for a year, like on schedule and monthly, God, do it. Pay big dollars. Do it. Imagine, like, if you could go to Art Adams and say, hey, we would like a year's run on New Mutants or something. I don't know, some real X-Men. We'd like you to do an X-Men run. And it could come out on time and all the rest, but all you had to do is just pay him a completely obscene page rate. Could do it. You'll make a profit. Just do it. Why not? But those are things you should do, but they don't solve the overall problem of the direct market. Kind of like I talked about yesterday. But we can spend a lot of time talking about how things are broken. It doesn't necessarily solve the problem. And solving the problem means that, for the direct market, whether it's diversification, whether it's having other lines of business that they can do and promote. There's a lot of things you can do, but we can't just sit with there are problems. Where when we say we're just there are problems, it doesn't actually lead to any real solution. And as long as we're kind of missing out on that part, or skimping on it, or not investing time into it, we're just going to stay there. It's just going to continue to be where it is. Anyway, it's a weird situation, made weirder by the pandemic and all the other things going on. But I think that in general, I kind of lost the plot at some point. I don't know when exactly it happened. Maybe right from the beginning. That's what you signed up here, folks. Some videos, they're really tight and I know what I'm talking about, and others I'm just it's a stream of consciousness. So hopefully it's an entertaining one. Hey, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. It's good time to wrap up. That's what we're doing today. Thanks for listening.